I am Nana Dr. Michael Agyekum Addo. We are going to discuss the principles of success and wealth creation, honesty and reliability, hard work. Don't spend it all. After that, we'll discuss investment, how to invest. Then I'm saying that you don't have to forget your history, who you are, and where you belong to. Then we'll touch on the God factor. Finally, patience. All these ingredients will go into one being successful. Then, because entrepreneurship is the order of the day, we'll also discuss the entrepreneurial revolution in the 21st century, so that graduates and then those who will be watching home base would also arm themselves with the ingredients of becoming a good entrepreneur. There's going to be a series of both the principles of wealth creation, which addresses attitude, and that of the fundamentals of entrepreneurship. Home base is the action point. Stay tuned and go by the series. Thank you. Hello viewers, we are on our third principle, don't spend it all, meaning savings. There's this George Clason, 1988. He said, and I quote, "I found the road to wealth when I realized that a part of all I earned was mine to keep. A part of all that I earned was mine to keep." What do you keep for yourself? And that's why you are poor. Don't spend it all is the next principle. If you have struggled to create wealth and have not acquired anything beyond bare existence in your working life, it is because you either have failed to observe the rules or laws governing wealth creation, or you do not know or even have not tried that they exist. Part of what you earn is yours to keep. It is my belief that if you practice the first two principles, honesty and reliability, and hard work, society will definitely show appreciation in one way or the other to remunerate you. This will be in the form of wages, salaries, gifts, and this comes like an income. More often than not, such income is used to purchase things that you eagerly desire, such as food, clothing, accommodation, settling of debts, paying school fees, and buying drinks for friends, and so on and so forth. In relation to plants, let me show you this one. Any plant without roots can never bear fruits. So look at this one, without roots. A little wind will just push the tree down. But if you have roots, you are strong. You have the stem, you have the branches, and the fruits will be there. My dear friends, and dear viewer, have you gotten financial roots? If no, then my prescription will be, do not touch whatever you are doing. Do savings for the next 3 years. And avoid societal pressure from the home, from friends, from the church, from wherever. Keep saving. So if you are the believer in tithing, okay, you give 10%. And then the other 10%, you do it for savings to build your financial roots, my dear friend. Without it, you are nobody. So I'll prescribe, and I hope my pastors will agree with me, that the tithe you are paying is on whatever is left after your expenditure. So you receive 2,000 cedis and you are spending about 1,002. The 800 to me is what you should pay your tithe on, and not the whole 2,000, because it means that then your expenditure pattern is going to be affected. And that's how the blessing will come, when you are able to make the money and to do the savings. I hope I'm clear. But if you want to do it, the 10% on your income, then as you grow your business, your tithing should also increase. But I'm also saying that your financial root should also increase. I'm even saying that there should be another 10% that is untouchable till you die. Let me repeat. As you make your money, you do your savings all right, you do your tithing all right, there should be another type of savings which I call the soul money that is untouchable till you die. That's what you are going to leave as a legacy. It could be in pesos, it could be in cedis, but it is untouchable savings. So I'm prescribing two types of savings. The normal savings at the bank of microfinance company or Susu company, and then your tithe to God or to your church. But then there should be your soul money, another 10% which is not touched. If it's not 10%, it will be 1% or 50.15%. That's okay, but that's untouchable. Because I believe money, my dear friend, it's like a magnet. It attracts. So if you don't have anything at all, you will not attract money. But the more you have 5 cedis, 15 cedis, 20,000, 50,000, the more it comes. Don't spend it all. Let me go into the book and tell you that some tips on minimizing your expenditure. Number 1, know your total monthly income. Know it. And then make a list of all your expenditure items, keeping in mind your level of income and the need to save. Put them into compulsory and optional expenditure categories. What I mean is prioritize. Important and urgent expenditure must be considered first, such as utility bills, your rent, food, transportation to work. They are important and urgent. Then weigh optional expenditures carefully before you make them, like entertainment, gifts, pleasure, clothing, and say no to some of them. Say no to some of them. Reconsider total expenditure and exclude those ones which you have control over. You can minimize utility bills by conserving utilities and using them wisely. Don't put on your light and go out. Make sure you remember to put it off, especially air conditioned, either at the office or at home. Put it off before you leave the house. Sum up all your expenditure and deduct this amount from your income. Make a decision to save at least 10% of the difference and pay 10% of that to your church as your tithe. Turn off all electrical appliances, both from the machine and the socket on the wall when they are not in use. Electricity is expensive these days. Don't keep the water running when brushing your teeth or washing the dishes and other utensils. Wash dirty clothing in bulk to minimize your water and soap bills. Buy your own shoe polish, my dear friend, and brush and polish them yourself. Because that 5 cedis is going you. And every day that you use the shoemaker to polish your shoes at 5 cedis, if it's 365 days, times 5, that you are losing, times 10 years, you can imagine. Avoid impulse buying. Sleep over things before buying to avoid having no use for them. Some people go to the supermarket, they just look at something on the shelf and they buy. They didn't even need it. They thought they would need it. They take it home, never to use it. That's very bad. But when you are buying, buy in bulk to get better price and control the usage. Let your dependents understand the concept of spending wisely so that they can agree with your savings plan. I hope you understand me. Avoid waste and spoilage. Do not cook more than enough, my dear viewer. Do not cook more than enough. Hey. Do not throw away food. Can you imagine the finger of plantain that you throw away all the time? The rice, the soup that you throw away, your wife throws away, your children throw away. Can you put them together? Value them. See that you are throwing away about 5 cedis every time that you guys eat. Multiplied by 365 days in a year, times 10 years that you've lived. Can you imagine the amount of money that you are spoiling? Have you considered the value of slice of yam, rice stew or sauce, fufu, and the food you throw away every day for a month, for a year, for a decade? Leftover food can be warmed and eaten as part of another meal. Some people bluff that, as for food that has lived overnight, I don't want to take it. When the COVID came and you had no right to go to the supermarket, what would you have done? Avoid being proud. Avoid being ostentatious. Try to be humble. And humility shows in the sense of even savings. Anytime you drop food into the bin, you are dropping money into the bin. You watch when Ghanaians go for parties where there are foreigners involved. They take little as they can eat and finish off in their plate. You see Ghanaians, the wache, the banku, the fufu, plenty, and they are unable to eat it all. And the waiters and the waitresses, you have to carry them and throw them into the dustbin. No. If you throw a party and the rest of the food, don't make sure that they just waste it. No. If you are able to keep some, there are so many street children that you can go and give the food to. Not the food that people have finished eating and that's the waste. Oh, no. If they could take little at a time, there will be rest that had not been touched in your bowls. That's what I'm talking about. That can give it to the street children. And I'm talking to maybe hoteliers. Hoteliers have a lot of money. They have a lot of food left over, especially those that they do buffet. What is left? They just tie it, weigh it, and throw it away. It's not the best. We have people that sleep without food. Hoteliers, please. Government officials. Those are the people that need your assistance. Give that kind of food to them. It's part of your savings culture. Again, I would like you to try this at home. Try to get an empty bottle and pour holes. Those holes, pour water in them and they will be spouting out. And those holes are your expenditure patterns. And I'm saying that if you close it tight, the holes will be there, but the water will not come out. Try it and you see. So if you close it and you avoid pressure on the water will not come out. That is, avoid the pressure from the society to take away your money. Don't spend it all. Even though you cannot live without food, it is very important, but make sure all your money is not spent on food. You must be sure of how much you are capable of consuming. You are a NAPCO student or NAPCO graduate. You're on 700 cedis. And yet, you buy fufu 10 cedis and meat about 20 cedis, 30 cedis for one day at one sitting. Can you imagine your 700? Will be going in within one week. Oh, my dear NAPCO graduate. Eat gari and beans like you are a student. Cocoa and beans. Roasted plantains, equally good food. No fat. If you are able to do that within that 1 year of NAPCO and you are able to save 200 cedis every month, can you imagine? You are making enough capital to set up your own business. We are in entrepreneurial era, 21st century, self-made. So if you are handling your manpower, your machines, your materials, your marketing skills, your target group, and you have your money, you don't need to go around begging. As a country, I think we have to reduce our expenditure. If you can reduce our expenditure, we may not necessarily have to go and borrow. Because as a nation, our expenditure pattern is huge. The infrastructure is huge. But we have to know our limits so that we don't have to embark on big projects, little at a time. Little at a time. Don't spend it all. When we borrow, we should not spend all that kind of money. We should rather save some for the future. This brings to my mind an experience I had in Holland when I visited the family in the early days of our association, in the 70s anyway. One evening after dinner, while cleaning up, I saw my hostess rummaging through the dustbin in the kitchen. I wondered what she was looking for. She finally brought out a piece of potato which I had discarded after the dinner. She carefully washed it, wrapped it, and put it into the refrigerator. The next evening, I noticed that she has warmed it and added to our dinner. I asked why it was added, and she gave me a very good reason. That she had seen her brother die of hunger in the 45s, before the Second World War was over. Whilst the family was hiding under the basement of their house when their food got finished. And because of that, she couldn't tolerate food being thrown away because the brother died out of hunger. Come to think about it. I am a poor person coming from a poor country, visiting a rich country in a rich home. And they are rather saving that slice of potato that I threw away. What's the essence? What's the wisdom of me throwing away that piece of potato? I learned a very big lesson out of it. Since then, in the 70s, nobody throws away food in my house. That's the more reason why we keep our refrigerator in good stand all the time. If you want to cook, we ask around, how many fingers of plantain would you eat? Slices of yam. And we all say it, and then we cook accordingly. So learn from me. Don't overcook and get some as waste. Because money is a spiritual paper. As you throw away the food, my dear viewer, my dear friend, my dear listener, remember that it will also grow spiritually and it will not come to you. You will be praying and praying and praying. But because you are throwing away food and throwing away food and throwing away food, money will not come to you. Your prayer will hit the rock bottom and nobody will listen to you. So, my dear friends, let us learn lessons from the 5,000 people that Jesus fed to avoid waste. The crumbs were also collected. 12 baskets were realized, all because the disciples were 12 anyway, and they were holding the baskets. And that's why they had 12 baskets left. Jesus Christ knew and had the command to get food. Why did he, collect all these crumbs? It was a sign to tell us that we should not waste food. You may also decide to buy quality clothes that will last for years. My dear friend, buy quality things. Don't go buy cheap things which will just destroy in no time. If you don't have your own car, nothing prevents you from using a commercial bus. Be humble to use the commercial bus. We are in the 21st century for entrepreneurial revolution, which is calling for savings. So any form of savings that we can do as individuals, as a society, as a group of people, please, let's do it. So listen to me and watch me. Another advice I'm giving to young graduates, instead of going for a second-hand car, can you imagine that you can go for a brand new car, smaller than it could be? It's better. For the next 3-4 years, you'll not be visiting the mechanic's workshop. But the moment you go for home second-hand, within 6 months, you start to visit. And you have not considered your man hours that you wait and then you waste at the workshop. And dear friend, my dear viewer, this is an advice, you can take it or leave it. but it has been tried and tested, and I believe if you buy a new car to be better, go for a cheaper new car. The one that you are using for Uber is not too expensive. So do your savings for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and go and buy. Don't wait until you go and buy the most sophisticated, most expensive car. There was this soldier man who promised himself that I need BMW by all means. So he saved and saved, and for 1 decade, 10 years, he managed to be able to afford a brand new BMW. With pride, he drove from the workshop to the house, ostensibly to show to his wife that he has bought the BMW. While he was inside, his son, 5-year-old, used a stone to scratch on the car. So when he came back with the wife to showcase the car to his wife, they saw the scratches. What? How could Kojo do this to me? Kojo, you're a bad boy. He brought the Kojo onto the car to clean the scratches. Of course, the Kojo couldn't clean it. So he used the stone that Kojo used to scratch to beat the child's fingers. And the stone was big. So the bones started breaking. The man would not stop. The boy was crying. The mother was even pleading for... No, you can imagine this man. In his rage, broke all the phalanges. And the bones in the fingers are called phalanges. They all got broken. The mother took the guy to the hospital. Upon assessment, the doctor amputated the fingers. It was in the evening that the man got over his shock. So he went to the hospital to visit the child. When he went, it had been bandaged and it was hanging in the air. And then the boy asked the father, "Daddy, will my fingers grow again? Daddy, will my fingers grow again?" What would be the answer? It has been cut. So how would it grow again? Eventually, he came home feeling guilty and decided that he would take it to the garage for respraying. When he went, then the boys told, "Daddy, this is not ordinary scratches. So he has written, 'Daddy, I love you.'" So standing backwards and watching again, and then I said, "I love you." It was not written properly, but if you could see it and analyze it clearly, then you could see that the boy was showing his appreciation to the daddy. "I love you." Can you imagine the guilt that this father felt? He has already destroyed the boy's fingers. We are talking about savings culture. Don't get overwhelmed by your savings, because the love of money is the root of all evil. Making money is okay, because money answers everything, according to the good book. But the love of it is the root of all evil. Thank you.
Have you ever wondered what plus size ladies go through? I'm talking about relationship, dating, family. Well, this is what Tech Choice is all about.
I chose this platform because I know when I come here, I'll get someone that I love and I'll meet my soul partner. Because you can look at me, I'm very sexy and hot.
Oh, he once said this thing in you, like,
What did I say, girl? I'm saying no.
No, wait. When you tell me that she knows you, I don't get it. She knows you how? That you are a womanizer?
She's like, mad woman.